Welcome to the Political Bridge. I'm Ada. Today we're talking about a big issue. It affects families across the country. We're looking at housing affordability. Many people struggle to find a home they can afford. We're also discussing Wall Street's role in this. Large financial firms are buying up homes. This changes local housing markets. It can make homes even more expensive. Some say this is just how free markets work. Others argue it harms regular families. They say it makes homeownership harder to reach. We will explore federal policy approaches to housing affordability and Wall Street investment. We will ask what the government should do, if anything. Nico, let's start with your view. What's the conservative take on this challenge?
Thanks, Ada. The core issue here is supply and demand. We don't have enough homes. This drives prices up. Wall Street firms are buying homes. They do this because it's a good investment. They see a need for rental properties. They provide that need. The government should not get in the way. We need to cut red tape. Cities must make it easier to build. They need to approve more housing projects. This means fewer zoning rules. It means faster permits. When supply goes up, prices come down. This helps everyone. It makes housing more affordable. It doesn't punish investors. We should not blame investors for a broken system. The federal policy approaches to housing affordability should focus on removing barriers to construction. That's the real solution. We need to let the market work.
Nico, that view misses a big part of the problem. Wall Street isn't just filling a need, they are changing the market. They buy homes in bulk. They often pay more than families can. This pushes up prices for everyone. It makes it harder for regular people to buy a home. This is not just about supply, it's about who owns the homes. We need federal policy approaches to housing affordability that protect families. We need to stop these big firms. They turn homes into investments. Homes should be places where families live. They shouldn't be just another asset for a rich company. We need rules that favor families. We need to make sure Wall Street doesn't price out communities. We can't let profit come before people's basic needs. This is about fairness for working families.
Both of you have laid out strong opening arguments. Nico, you emphasize supply. You say government should step back. Jordan, you focus on Wall Street's impact. You want government to step in. My first follow-up question is for both of you. How do your proposed solutions specifically help a first-time homebuyer? Someone who is struggling to save for a down payment right now. Nico, how does building more homes help them immediately? Jordan, how do your rules against Wall Street help them get a loan or afford a mortgage?
Ada, building more homes helps first-time homebuyers directly. When there are more homes available, prices drop. This makes homes more affordable. It lowers the down payment needed. It also reduces monthly mortgage costs. It's not an instant fix, but it's the only lasting one. Government intervention often makes things worse. Look at rent control. It sounds good, but it leads to fewer new apartments. It makes existing ones harder to find. We need to trust the market. We need to remove obstacles for builders. This will create more choices. It will create more affordable options for everyone. This includes first-time buyers. We need to let them compete fairly. We shouldn't put artificial limits on who can buy property. That only hurts the market. It doesn't solve the core problem of not enough homes.
Nico, your plan asks first-time buyers to wait years. It asks them to hope prices fall. My plan offers more direct help. We need policies that give families a fair shot. For example, we could tax large corporate purchases of homes. This would make it less attractive for Wall Street to buy them. It would free up homes for families. We could also offer down payment assistance. This would be for first-time buyers. It would help them compete. We could also strengthen fair housing laws. This would stop unfair lending practices. Former President Biden's administration looked at these issues. They tried to address them. These steps don't just wait for the market. They actively help people. They put families first. They don't just focus on the rich. They help regular people buy a home now.
Okay, let's stress test these arguments. Nico, you say supply is the main problem. You want to cut regulations, but many local communities have good reasons for zoning rules. They want to keep their neighborhoods safe. They want to manage traffic. They want to protect green spaces. How do you convince a local community to give up these protections? How do you ensure that cutting regulations doesn't just lead to uncontrolled development that might harm existing residents? You're asking them to trust that the market will solve everything. Jordan, you want to tax Wall Street. You want to give direct aid. But where does this money come from? Won't new taxes on investors just get passed on to renters? Won't it make housing more expensive in other ways? How do you pay for these programs without burdening taxpayers?
Ada, you're right, local concerns are important, but we can balance them. We can have smart growth. We don't need to get rid of all rules. We need to get rid of the bad ones. Many zoning laws are old. They stop new homes from being built. They force only single-family homes. This makes housing scarce. We can build more apartments. We can build townhouses. We can do this responsibly. We can still protect green spaces. We can manage traffic. We just need to update our rules. We need to make them fit today's needs. President Trump's administration has talked about reducing regulatory burdens. This is a key part of our economic strategy. We need to work with communities. We need to show them how more housing helps everyone. It helps their kids afford to live there. It helps the local economy grow. It's about smart, targeted reform.
Ada, that's a fair challenge. We need to fund these programs carefully. But the money can come from those who profit most. Wall Street firms make huge profits from housing. A small tax on their housing investments would be fair. It wouldn't burden regular taxpayers. It wouldn't get passed on to renters if done right. We can design taxes to target large-scale investors. We can exempt small landlords. This way, we protect mom-and-pop owners. We also need to look at our priorities. We spend a lot on other things. Investing in housing stability is good for everyone. It reduces homelessness. It improves health. It boosts local economies. These are long-term savings. We're not just throwing money at the problem. We're making smart investments. We're creating a more stable future for families. This is a critical investment in our communities.
That stress test really highlighted the core tension here. Nico, you're asking for trust in market forces. You want less government. Jordan, you're asking for trust in government action. You want more targeted rules. Both approaches have potential benefits. Both also have potential downsides. It seems the debate comes down to how much we trust the market versus how much we trust policymakers to solve this complex problem. We need to consider who benefits most from each approach. We also need to consider who might be left behind. Let's move to closing arguments. Nico, what's your strongest final case for your position?
My case is simple. We need to build more homes. That's the only way to make housing truly affordable. Government regulations are a huge barrier. They make building slow and expensive. This hurts everyone. It hurts young families. It hurts seniors. It hurts first-time buyers. Wall Street firms are not the enemy. They invest where there's a need. They provide housing options. If we make it easier to build, they will build more. Other developers will build more too. This creates competition. It brings prices down. We shouldn't punish success. We should encourage it. President Trump understands that less government interference helps the economy. It helps people. We need to unleash the power of the free market. That's how we solve the housing crisis. It's how we ensure everyone has a chance at homeownership. It's the most effective federal policy approach to housing affordability.
Nico, your plan ignores the human cost. Wall Street's investment isn't always good. It often makes things worse for families. They buy up homes. They often raise rents. They make it harder for people to buy. We need to protect communities. We need policies that put people before profit. This means smart regulations. It means taxes on huge corporate housing profits. It means direct help for families. We can learn from what former President Biden's administration tried. We need to ensure homes are for living, not just for making money. This isn't about punishing anyone. It's about creating a fair system. It's about ensuring everyone has a safe, affordable place to live. That's a basic human right. This is why federal policy approaches to housing affordability must be strong. They must be focused on equity and access for all.
Jordan, while I appreciate the desire to protect families, we need to look at the broader economic picture. The idea that Wall Street is inherently predatory often overlooks the role of institutional investors in providing necessary capital for housing development, especially in a market starved for supply. For instance, Many of these firms are investing in build-to-rent communities, which directly addresses the rental housing shortage. They're not just buying existing single-family homes, they're funding new construction that wouldn't happen otherwise due to the immense capital requirements and risk involved. This provides a crucial alternative for those who aren't ready or able to buy, and it diversifies the housing stock. If we demonize and tax these investors, we risk driving away the very capital needed to expand housing options. This would exacerbate the supply problem, making both renting and buying even more expensive for everyone, including the first-time homebuyers we're trying to help. We need to encourage all forms of housing creation, not just punish one segment.
Nico, that argument sounds good in theory, but the reality on the ground often tells a different story. While some build-to-rent projects exist, the overwhelming focus of large institutional investors has been on acquiring existing single-family homes, often in working-class neighborhoods. Data from the National Association of Realtors shows that in some markets, investors bought over 25% of homes for sale, frequently outbidding individual buyers with all-cash offers. This isn't about providing capital for new supply. It's about financializing existing housing stock and extracting profit through rent increases and asset appreciation. We've seen examples like Invitation Homes, one of the largest corporate landlords, facing criticism for high fees and maintenance issues while still reporting massive profits. This isn't a diversified housing stock. It's a consolidation of power that distorts local markets and turns homes into commodities. We need policies that differentiate between genuine housing development and speculative investment that displaces families and makes homeownership an impossible dream for many.
And that brings us to the end of another insightful discussion on the political bridge. We've heard strong arguments today. Nico emphasized market solutions and increased supply. Jordan highlighted the need for government intervention and protection for families. This debate shows how complex housing affordability truly is. There are many different ideas about how to fix it. We want to thank Nico and Jordan for sharing their perspectives. You can find more information and resources at tpbridgepod.com. Join us next time for another engaging discussion. Until then, stay informed, stay engaged, and keep bridging those political divides.